What's up, guys? So, during my time being an internet user, I have stumbled upon again and again many articles that claim to be giving relationship advice, and there are some that say, "What are the hints that a guy likes you, or what are the signs that a girl likes you?" So, there was this classic topic that I stumbled upon, and I said, you know what, let me do a reaction video on these questions just to see if I agree or disagree or find myself offended or not offended by the advice that these little ass articles tend to give. So I thought that I would share my thoughts with you guys, and then you guys can let me know how you feel about my thoughts on this, or how you feel in general about these types of questions. Or if you have been a guy who has asked these questions to a girl and then you discover the hard way that you shouldn't have done that. So, I am currently on a website called Life Hacks, and the title of this article is 10 Questions a Guy Should Never Ask a Girl. And we're going to skip to the intro. And the first question that I see you shouldn't ask a girl is, "How old are you?" I personally get this question with some relative frequency, and honestly, I always dismiss it. And it's not because the question bothers me or like I got something to hide or I'm offended by the question. It's just that I think it's personal info, and I don't go around asking people what their age is. So if I don't do that, I shouldn't have to be the one answering the question. So basically, I do not answer questions that I myself would not ask unless there are certain exceptions. But honestly, the "how old are you" question is not a matter of it offends me. Like, I'm a young person, therefore, it shouldn't even be difficult for me to answer the question. But again, I just think that it's something personal, and you do not need to know that. All you might want to know is the day and month in which I was born. But how is you knowing my age going to benefit you? If I do not see how you need the answer to a question, I tend to not answer it. And this is one of those questions. So it's not that it bothers me or offends me. Again, it's just that it's none of your business. So unless I ask you how old you are, then no, don't ask me how old I am. "How much do you earn?" And then the caption. Oh, let me read the caption underneath the first one. "Dude, did your parents not tell you this question represents a lack of education? It is a golden rule to never ask a woman's age, whether you like it or not." Honestly, I wasn't raised that way, but I did hear of the "don't ask a woman how old she is." So I'm thinking, why not ask a guy how old he is? Is it because of that little, like, is it a stigma or something that the guy should be older or something? I don't know. But I don't think a guy is going to ask a girl to confirm her age just to make sure that he is older, because that's normally what women prefer. See what I mean? So I think it's dumb, really. The next question is, "How much do you weigh?" And the caption beneath this is, "This is worse than before. You can destroy any intention you have with the woman in question or start the relationship very badly. It is most uncomfortable. It is insulting because obese or anorexic or any of these two appreciations is terrible. Even if your intention is merely gossip, forget it. Her weight does not interest you. Equal, she will never tell you the truth." So for me, if someone asks me how much I weigh, I don't have a problem saying it necessarily, because I like to think that they would want to know what my range is given my height and other things. Like, I'm a scientific person. So sometimes I do get curious when I see a really tall guy. I like to estimate by sight how much a person weighs. And usually, I don't need you to tell me how much you weigh. Usually, I can tell how much you weigh anyway. And I'm asking you to confirm that what I am observing is actually right. It's weird. All of my friends ever, every time I try to guesstimate their weights, I'm either very, very, very close or on the money. So I just am fascinated by the fact that I can look at someone and be like, "I know how much you weigh. I don't need you to tell me." So if I were to ask you personally for your weight, that's usually what's going through my head. It's not a matter of "I think you're too fat" or "I think you're too skinny." And if you ask me the question, I will ask you to guesstimate. But then again, I'm going to sound like I'm attacking the victim, like I always do. But if you're obese and you don't like to be asked the question of how much you weigh, which for me personally, the only time I get asked about my weight is when I go to the doctor for obvious reasons. But if you do not like the question of how much do you weigh and you're not happy with your weight and that's why you don't like to be asked that question, then maybe do something to change it. Or if you currently hate your weight, you can be like, I am currently 300 pounds, but I have lost 50. So that it shows that you're a work in progress. You shouldn't have to be explaining your weight in the first place. But I'm just saying, I am someone who likes to be proactive. So if there's something about me that I hate, I am going to change it. So I would expect that everyone has that attitude as opposed to you being offended as a means for us to find a way to accommodate you in life. See what I mean? So again, I know I'm always attacking the victim, so feel free to put in your like contribute your 2 cents, but I don't care. That's just how I think. Do you like to be conquered? What kind of fucking question is that? It is as obviously a ridiculous question. It's like asking permission to kiss. Of course, women like that someone conquers her. We believe in the women's revolution, but some aspects are still chauvinistic. I've never known how to say that. We all want good morning messages with emotional kisses, hearts, etc. We all want to hear the ICQ, go to dinner, how beautiful are you today, finally. Women also show signs that they like, if not, nor ask, please stay away as much as possible. So honestly, when it comes to the do you like to be conquered question, I thought that it was going to ask something about submission or that kind of bullshit. So for me, I have never heard anyone say that they get asked this question, and I have never been asked that question. So if I were to hear a guy asking me, "Hey Sam, do you like to be conquered?" I would be like, what does that even mean? What do you mean by that? Do you mean, do I like to be like submissive, or do I like to be uh given compliments to? Of course, I'm sure that you would like that too, but I'm not going around going up to you going like, "Hey dude, do you like to be conquered?" It's kind of stupid. I find that people should just be straightforward with your intentions. If you genuinely want to say something nice to someone, say something nice to someone. What the person on the receiving end of that nice expression should say is a fucking thank you. But I understand that we live in a day when people are just tripping over the most minimal of things, even if the things are good. So if you're asking that question up front, I can see why that is a thing that you're considering. But for me personally, just be yourself, say whatever it is that you want to say, and based on my response, you will know whether that stuff is welcome, appreciated, or not appreciated. But I feel like people just need to stop being afraid of just saying things or asking things. But then also, people who are being asked questions need to be better at receiving questions. So hopefully, you guys see what I mean by that. Are you going to pay your thing? Before asking that, better bite your tongue. If you invite, you pay more if it is the first date or are just getting to know. Exit to the American is a sign you have a very precarious economy. This is a bit seductive. Simple. If you do not have how to pay, do not go out, do not propose, or do not accept the invitation. Best invent stomach upset excuse rather than disappoint your girl with this deadly question. Honestly, on the note about paying, if I'm the one making the plans, if it's my idea, I'm the one who's paying. If it's your idea, I think you're the one who should be paying. Now, if it's something absolutely outrageous, like a very fancy place, it's natural for me to be like, you know what, I'm getting something fancy. This is a fancy place. How about if we split it? Like in my most recent date with my boyfriend, he said something about him being a little tight on money or some bullshit. So I said, all right, I got you. The only reason I don't pay for our dates is because years ago, this was like back when we were first starting, we discussed this. And I was like, look, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm in a terrible situation. I cannot afford to have recreational money. So if this is a problem, I want you to know ahead of time that on my end, I will not come up with any plans or ideas because they are going to consume money, probably, and that is something that I cannot do. And what he ended up doing was, you know what, anytime I can get it, if I can get it, I will always want to get it. So I looked at it as, all right, I don't want to be a freeloader, but if he doesn't have a problem with it, great. But if he wants to do something and he cannot afford to take me and I cannot afford to pay for it myself, I don't have to go. Like, there have been times in which I have not gone to the movies just because I knew he was tight on money. And I was like, well, it sucks to be me. If I don't have my resources to go out with you, I'm not going. And if you cannot tag me along without like ripping a hole in your finances, I don't have to go. And I'm not offended. I'm not going to like cause a scene just because my man cannot take care of me at that moment in time. Like, I think it's better for me to be honest about it. And another thing that has happened in the past has been he asked me one time, hey, where would you like to go eat? And I was like, honestly, I have a craving that's kind of fancy, but I cannot afford it and I don't want to like abuse you. So maybe if I get better with money, like to where I have a few extra dollars, I'll bring it up. But for right now, you make the decision of where we go to eat. And then he asked, oh, what did you want? And then I said the name of the place, and he was like, oh, I can get that. And I was like, oh my God, really? This and that. Thank you so much. So, so I'm not going to just because you're asking where do you want to go and you're offering doesn't mean that I'm going to take advantage of it. I want to make sure that you're in a good position to do that. And immediately what the man said was, you know what? I ain't tight on money this time around, but thanks so much for making sure that it is something that I can do and that you're not just bringing that up and assuming that I can take care of it. And I'm like, yeah, if it's something that's not mine, your resources, they don't belong to me, I'm not going to abuse them. So that is pretty much my thoughts when it comes to the paying aspect on dating. And allow me 1 second while I search for myself here so that I can read the comments from here and not touch my camera as much as possible so that I don't ruin the stream like I always do. Great. How do you get cured day by day? I look like a step monster. Garuda, hi. Well, thanks so much for the compliment. I definitely needed it. Is it okay to ask a girl the color of her underwear? Sometimes I get curious. How about if you reserve that question for a girl who you are actually seeing and you are already like in a serious relationship with? Because say if you were someone out in the street and you just randomly come up to me and you're like, hey girl, what's the color of your underwear? I'm gonna be like, so like definitely reserve that question for a more personal setting. I'm sure you don't need me to say that, but I'll still go ahead and say it because someone out there might claim that I was not like specific enough, and I don't think I should be specific enough. I'm not y'all's mom. I should not have to be educating y'all. And I know that this is a very informal setting, but just as a disclaimer, you should definitely reserve that for more personal settings. Uh, Someone is asking, what about if you can deep throat? Well, of course, you should definitely not discuss that with just any randomer. You should discuss that with your girl and definitely find a better way to come up with the discussion. Like, you wouldn't just be on the dinner table and be like, so, would you do this and that? Like, no. How about if you test the waters somehow, but don't be violent about it, Anyways, the next question is, with how many men have you been? It is very difficult to ask this question because many women do not want to talk about it, especially in the beginning. Also, men will more often condemn the woman if the number is excessive. Well, for that reason, that is why you make sure that you are not a hoe. If you are not a hoe, you absolutely do not have to lie and you have absolutely nothing to fear. So if I were asked the question of how many men have I been with, I will say the truth. And I'll be like, you know what? This is as far as it went. I got nothing to hide. And just know that with me, stuff will progress a little slowly as a result of what has been going on in my relationships. So that's why I say I think it's very important for you to preserve your values and try to make stuff work with your current relationship as much as possible, because this shit can get messy. I personally do care about how many partners a man has had, only because I want to know just how much drama surrounds this man. If you have kids, you are automatically disqualified from being considered as a candidate. And that is because I don't have kids and I don't want to have to share you with another woman for the rest of my life. And I do not want for my kids to have half siblings and barely even get to know them, because that's how I was brought up. I was brought up with half siblings. One of them I still have not met. And I just do not want my kids to go through that bullshit. I remember how my mother had to deal with my father's exes and future girlfriends, and that is a drama that I do not need in my life. It is inevitable. So, yes, I do care about how many partners you have had, because it also tells me just how stable of a guy you are. As in, can you commit to a relationship, or are you just here to mess around for a little bit and then go? I am not going to date someone unless I am considering settling down with them. So if I give you an opportunity, it's because I think you have potential. But if you do not, then we are not even going to progress that far. Have been with, because you have standards, you have rules, you have disciplines that you would like to see fulfilled in the same manner that I do, just like what I expressed. So why would this not be a two-way street? So for women who say, I just don't want to talk about it, it's like, what do you have to hide? Do you have to hide the fact that you made poor ass decisions, or that you do not know how to pick a mate? Do you feel like you don't know how to choose a mate as a result of your number of folks that you have dated? So, again, figure out who you are, have your values established, never bend them for the sake of not being alone. Like, I have made that mistake so many times, which is, it's like, okay, how about if I put up with this just because, the guy is not that bad. And in the end, I look back and I'm like, I'm so glad I did not give that guy a chance, because this is what would have happened to me. And then I see how their lives turned out in the future. But at the same time, I have to consider the fact that maybe if they had been with me, they might have made better decisions given my values. But it's difficult to tell. I can only speculate, but not with accuracy. So hopefully you guys see what I mean by that. Let's see. Asking if it's time. That Jimmy Jeff guy is definitely here for the thirsty questions. We're going to keep going. The next question that you should not ask a girl apparently is, do you think I'm handsome? A man cannot ask this question and not fall unsure of himself, and that's the last thing you want to happen in front of a woman. If a guy were to ask me if I think he is handsome, definitely I do look at it as maybe you have a little bit of self-esteem problems, but I also think, depending on what stage of the relationship we are in, I think that you may be asking that because you may be having a difficult day and you're just looking for reassurance. I need reassurance. So sometimes, if I find that you are asking that question, the first thing that I'll feel like asking is, how was your day? Because if you tell me that you're having a difficult day or you have had a difficult week, I can see how that's going to affect you. So then I'll be like, this guy just needs a little bit of a nudge, doesn't he? Or this guy just needs a little bit of reinforcement, validation, or whatever the hell it is. It's all right. You're human. You got feelings. You process them a little differently. So I also find that if you're asking this question, first of all, you trust me a lot. And in addition, apparently, anything that I have to say is very important to you. So if you ask me a personal question like that, I'll be like, okay, clearly you're looking for my opinion. You are making me a very important voice in your life. So I can see why that's important to you. And I can say that from personal experience. For me, whenever the guy who I'm with tells me that I am like beautiful, it's like, wow, I am the queen in his life. Like I am his number one. Great. So why on God's green earth would you not be allowed to ask the same question? So honestly, when it comes to thinking that that question means that you're insecure, it depends. If it's something that happens with frequency, then that would raise the red flag for me. But if it's a once in a while thing, I am someone who has difficulties expressing nice things to people. Like I'm not always going like, "Oh, you're so handsome," or "Oh my God, I love that jacket," or this and that. For me to give a compliment, you have to impress me. And sometimes if I give you compliments regularly, it's because I'm definitely crazy about you. But if you're not hearing that from me anymore, it just means that I do not like to repeat things too much because I feel like I may bug the other person. I don't feel like I'm being bugged if my guy regularly compliments me over and over and over again, 700 times a day. I can take it. But for me, on the giving end of compliments, I get fed up with giving compliments. So I would associate that you too would get fed up with receiving compliments, although I don't get tired of your compliments. So I guess I need to figure out who you are, what you are as a guy, and if compliments from me are something that you love to get, then I'll make sure to implement that into the routine. But I hope that just because you don't hear it a lot from me doesn't mean all of a sudden that you think that I don't like you as much. See what I mean? So hopefully you guys understand that, and maybe one of you guys can relate to what I said, because I'm weird and some of you are just as weird as I am, and that feels great to know that I'm not alone. Hello Zamri, I hope you're having a fantastic day like I am. Hello JP, I am indeed having a fantastic day. Nothing really to report that's making it particularly fantastic. It's just a good day. Like, nothing to whine about, nothing to complain about. Work was good, except for, the regular stupid stuff that you may see or hear, but that's part of routine. The next question is, are you in your period? One last, the most annoying, especially because it is used to attack you when you walk in a bad mood for some unfortunate situation during the day. Are you in your period? Totally and categorically no. As said at the beginning, there are hundreds of uncomfortable questions that men should not ask. Not only because women find this uncomfortable, but because even worse, the answers could be catastrophic regarding what you expect to hear. Of course, because this is definitely, it's all about the woman. It's all about making the woman's life better and this and that, of course. But for me, I never get asked if I'm in my period because I always have my bubbly personality, right? But what I do is I like to give people a heads up myself to the point that you don't need to ask. Sometimes there are guys who ask me, hey Zam, you're kind of quiet, or hey Zam, you look pale, or something. Do you feel okay? And then I'm like, it's that day of the month. And they go like, oh, oh. So other times it's if I have a male manager during one of my shifts, I'm like, I give them a heads up as soon as I get there. I'm like, you know how I never asked to go to the bathroom? Well, today I am going to ask to go to the bathroom. And as soon as I ask you to go to the bathroom, you better say, honey, take your time because I will find refuge in your conscience otherwise. And then I showed them my pad and stick it in my pocket. And because I am pretty much like family with everyone who I work with because we have worked together forever, that's why I feel confident saying that. But other times, what has happened is that the day gets crazy, and the moment for me to go to the bathroom comes, and then I'm like, didn't I tell you that I'm going to need the bathroom? And then they go, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to keep you waiting. Go ahead. So when I come back, I say, the only acceptable answer to that question is, honey, take your time. So, but outside of that, I'm not someone emotional. Like, the only time my behavior changes when I'm on my period is I tend to be tired, I tend to be quiet, I tend to feel really fed up with stuff like, ugh, I'm ready to go home, I want to lay down. And the other times I tend to be extra critical. Like sometimes my friends may be telling me something and then I'll grill them for no reason and they're like, why are you being so mean to me? And I'm like, I'm just keeping it real. I'm always like just crude about the way I say things, but when I'm on my days, I want to be done with conversations as quickly as possible for some reason. And then other times is in more intimate settings. I'm definitely not as kind, as sweet, as loving probably. Like it's not that I'm a panther and I'm just like wow at you. It's more of a I want to be I want to be taken care of. Like, I want to be nudged. I want to experience affection and probably even be petted, be nurtured. But at the same time, me being the giver of that stuff is kind of like, eh, eh. It's like you have a bug crawling all over you. Like, just leave me alone. It's kind of difficult to put into words unless you go through it. But I just know for a fact that I am never a bitch toward anyone when I'm on my period, and I never use that as an excuse. So that's pretty much the point that I am trying to illustrate. I am going to visit another website just for the sake of seeing what other websites have to say about that question. So let me see what the comments are saying. Uh, what if I asked you, are you into feet lickers? I would think you're a weirdo, and I would think that no, I would not be bothered by the question, but I would say that is something that I do not care to experience, so don't even try. I like your checkered shirt. I used to like checkered shirts when I was still in high school. You look lovely. Thanks a lot. And guys, I finally discovered the difference between plaid, which for some reason is spelled as plaid, right? And a flannel. One of them is thicker, but I already forget which one it is. So I want to say that I am wearing a flannel, but I could be wrong. I don't know. But thanks a lot. I am definitely a sucker for shirts like this. So that's why I try to wear them often. Or would you like for you to be my Khaleesi? I'll be your Jon Snow who will backstab you to death and take the Iron Throne. This is just a theory, but the only way to understand what to ask a girl is to not wait, is to know not what to ask first and foremost. See, that makes a lot of sense, but you must keep in mind that every single girl is different. For me, I don't give a damn. You can ask me everything. And if you're asking me a question that particularly bothers me, and you guys should know by now which questions do get on my nerves, it's like, I'm not going to answer that, or I have no comment. And then hopefully, as the great human with capacity to think that you will understand that I am not interested in having that discussion. And thus, you will never bring it up again. So I don't want to just say, yeah, guys, this article is right. You should never ask these questions because, as you can see, most questions, I don't see a problem with them. And the questions that I do see a problem with is more of they're annoying, they're stupid, I don't see how they benefit you, so therefore, I'm not going to bother answering this question. So, so honestly, it is good for you to know what not to ask. And I would love to say that it's common sense what you should ask and what you shouldn't ask. But at the same time, because I can prove that this is not something that's systematic, then I'm not sure. I guess you just have to treat life as a trial and error, and you'll discover people through your life's experiences that, oh, some people can tolerate some stuff, some people cannot. So just put up with the awful experience of you asking the wrong question to the wrong girl for the 10 minutes, 15 minutes, day, eternity that it lasts, and just know that eventually you'll stumble upon someone who's not going to have that problem. See what I mean? So, anyways, I think it's all about trial and error. Uh, let's see. I am going to see if I can find another website that has more questions, just because I think that those were pretty limited. Let's see. TheAdultMan.com has 20 questions I mentioned never ask a woman and the reasons why. And if there are any that repeat, I'm going to skip over them. First question: can I kiss you? Assuming you're on a date and the circumstances are right, just go for it, never ask. Honestly, no one has ever asked me that. It has just sort of transitioned into the moment. And I mean, you definitely know when a girl is into you and when they aren't. So I think that you're pretty safe when it comes to that. If physical boundaries have been crossed already, which is you're sitting at very close proximity, you have touched, you have hugged for more than like 10 seconds, like you have cuddled and stuff. For me personally, I'm clearly super comfortable with you. But unless you are taken and you know that I'm taken and we're hugging for prolonged periods of time because you're trying to make me feel better about something, or I'm hugging you because I don't know, someone in your family died and I'm trying to make you feel better, then definitely that is a consoling hug. That does not mean that I want to be like all over you or anything. So again, that's just something that I don't feel happens in real life. So I think that these people are reaching. Number two, why won't you talk to me? Weak. Concentrate on being a better guy to talk to. Alternatively, focus your energy elsewhere. Have I been asked why won't you talk to me? I have been asked why I don't talk to someone a couple of times. And this wasn't even a person I was dating. It was actually a person who shocked me because I'm like, motherfucker, if you want me to talk to you, how about if you talk to me? And if I'm not responding to you, maybe, just maybe, think to yourself, you know what? She has a job. She works long hours. She is busy after she gets off work. So I know for a fact that she is not available in the evenings because she is, at the gym, or she is writing or drawing or just doing recreational things away from the phone. So, I think I find that people who ask that question need a lot of attention, and it's attention that I cannot give you. So how about if you just move on with your life and leave me alone, Because if I have a problem with you, I am going to tell you. But if you are just getting offended by me reducing the amount of minutes I spend talking to you, it's kind of weird to me. So you guys let me know how you feel about that one, or why you even asked that. You gotta ask, do you promise me to not charge my ass with a false rape or harassment accusation? Ha, fantastic. Okay, thank you. Oh, hey, Ian. Good to see you around here. Hi, hope you're having a good day, says AM Coop, or Am Coop. I hate it when I'm not sure how to say someone's username. But yes, I am having a good day, and I hope that you are having it too. Ole says, to even ask most of these, you would have to be a very special kind of dense. Love it. Have you ever visited the Cascades in Oregon, USA? Your hair looks like the Cascades today. Oh, well, I appreciate the compliment on my bird's nest today. And no, I have not visited the Cascades. I love the idea of waterfalls. Why don't I do outdoor vlogs? I'm gonna get that going. I've been saying I'm going to vlog outdoors for so long, and I keep coming up with bullshit reasons to not do it. So I think it's time that I just go ahead and go about it. Since it's 2019, a man might need to ask her if she was actually born a female. Oh, God. Yes. Now that you bring that up, I cannot believe that I personally spend so many hours of my day just contemplating that. It's like I live in a time that I did not imagine I would, which is I have to question what you are, who you are, what you like, what you don't like. For me, I always thought that the world was just black and white and occasionally gray. So I always saw a male, and I'm like, okay, male goes with female. I like boys. Boys will like the likes of me. No more questions. But now it's like, oh, right, you may be, you have certain mannerisms that are attributed to certain people, but at the same time, it is wrong to think that because, say, a guy who may be relatively effeminate does not mean that he isn't interested. In the same manner that girls who are just like strong and like it doesn't mean that they're into the likes of ourselves. So yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. I crazy. It's crazy. How old are you? Fantastic. He has asked a question that we went over. And because I do not give personal info, that is a restricted question. Only privileged folks know the answer to that question. Privilege as in, I don't know, you have me on Facebook or something, or you just know me from a long time ago. And even on online profiles, I do not, what do you call it, reveal that information. Okay, so you're saying I can ask questions. Do you like dirty sex or passionate sex? Well, to answer that question, you need to understand that I have never gotten laid, and if I were to get laid, definitely it will be out of passion. And I guess I have not done the deed precisely because I sense that that hasn't been reached yet. Like, I have not reached a stage of intimacy with a guy to where I can be like, you know what? This is the guy who I'm going to spend the rest of my life with. So trust me, it's not a lack of desire because sometimes I'm like, I am so ready to get it going. But at the same time, it's like, do I really want this? No, I want for it to have meaning. So that's why I just keep putting it off. And now my goal is to finally build up in my relationship to where that can be implemented without feeling uncomfortable by it. If you guys understand what I mean. I know that that is like a very, what is it? Very like incredibly Neanderthal way to be, but anyways. Another question is, you look different today. Why is that? Whether she does or doesn't, this question lacks tact and is unlikely to go over very well. I get asked that all the fucking time. People will go like, hey, something about you is different. Did you get a haircut? Or, I don't know, did you get different glasses? People have been telling me that I have been getting different glasses, like, for the past 2 years, although these are the same fucking frames I have had for the past 5 years. People just trip like that. Sometimes I describe someone that we're looking for, and I'm like, oh yeah, it was a tall gentleman with grayish hair, and he had green eyes. Oh, I didn't notice the color of the eyes. Why? you know? So I guess people don't pay attention to what color your glasses are until they just do. And other times I have been asked about my stupid scar on my face, like, oh, when did that happen? Was that in a car wreck? And I'm like, no, this happened to me when I was 5 years old. So, oh, I never noticed it before. Well, probably because I wear my hair right on top of it. And it's not because I'm trying to conceal it. I used to part my hair on the left side, but now I just find that from my right side it looks better. So, it's people, some people can pick up on details better than others. So, that's really what it comes down to. Hey, let me see what the comment section is saying. Good answer. She must be over 30. Just kidding. I took to Hunk Pale. Need someone to treat you good. Don't worry, intuned person can guess your age. Just so you know, those questions get held for review, but you will find things are pretty relaxed here. I have never removed one yet, just in case you were concerned. YouTube is being YouTube. They hold them automatically. It's a little weird. Oh yeah, last night I was able to approve or not approve of a couple because my moderator has been on vacation lately, and therefore he is going to get his little blue tool removed from his name if he doesn't get his act together. Nah, I'm just playing. Um, but yeah, I don't care about what you guys say as long as you're not flaming each other. So really, the whole reason I decided to have him on is because sometimes I get comments that are just cluttery and some people just straight up spam the place. And some people definitely say things that they should not be saying. So therefore, just I have a tool, a multi tool. I thought it was lag. Your frame looks futuristic. I would love to have one myself. I am not concerned. I am not rude. Was just asking sex is normal. And if people get that, then they are crazy. Yeah, definitely. I think that sex is a very normal and functioning thing. It's not like I treat it like it's what is it? Being prude about it. I just want to be. I treat it with a lot of respect. It's something that I think should be treated with a lot of respect, especially when the consequences can be serious, such as procreation. And you can be like, oh, how about if you use protection and drug yourself and shit? And I'm like, first of all, I am not going to do the pill. And second of all, sure, I can have the guy wear the rubber, but at the same time, that would take away from the experience. You know what I'm saying? So it's just something that I have not gotten to explore. So some questions that I am answering today, once I get the deed done, I might be like, yo, guys, guess what? I finally got the action done, and I realized that I talked a lot of shit out of my ass because I was ignorant and had no experience. So here is a follow up and an update about, my sex opinions now that I actually got it done. See what I mean? So I don't want to say don't take anything I'm saying today too seriously, but because I am lacking experience, then all of you guys who have gotten laid, which I assume is all of you, just let me know what it means to you if you want to discuss that. Let's make this the official sex stream. I didn't really think it would turn into that. I thought this would be pretty basic. But, anyways, the floor is open for that. You're looking tired today. Did you not get a good night's sleep? What is wrong with that question? It is so normal to ask that. Unless you're making a sarcastic joke due to inside knowledge, which could go over well. This is just unnecessarily, and it makes a girl feel self conscious. I mean, let's face it, sometimes I don't sleep well. I have dark circles and puffy skin. I would not get offended if you asked me if I did not sleep well, because more than likely I did not fucking sleep well. Most of the times I tell you guys, this is the third day that I have not been able to sleep. Or I fall asleep but I wake up like at 4 a.m. 5 times. Or something. So if you look like hell, we are noticing it. We are asking you and we're like, hey, is there something going on in your life? Maybe that person is just trying to help, but they don't know how to approach it. It's like if you see me with dark circles and puffy skin, of course, I wouldn't want you to be like, hey, Zabara, here's some nighttime cream, so put it on you. So it's like, okay, like clearly you're trying to help, but at the same time, Why do you get so sensitive and offended about it? If I look like hell, I love for people to point it out. It's like, oh girl, you have gained some weight, haven't you? And I'm like, yeah, I have been stressed out. I have been lazy. I have not been working out to the intensity that I normally do. I have not been eating salads like I normally do. I have not been eating fruits like I normally do. So like, like what is the problem with that? I think if you're sensitive like that, I'm not the right person for you to hang out with because I just don't care. So I like to ask those questions too. Sometimes I can tell when a person has like low iron just because of how their skin looks like. Does that mean I'm weird? No, it just means that I know a few facts about the skin and science and symptoms and bullshit. But anyways, that's just me. Uh, Look at the title, my friend. Do you like YouTube poop? Whatever that is. My conclusion on Western civilization: people get more tired than the rest of the world. Yes! Like today, we had a trend on Twitter talking about how, for the first time since 32 years or so, we have had another decline on birth rate. But of course, there's more political aspects to that than just people are too tired to get laid and whatnot. There's also the economic factor, among other things. But honestly, I find that if you're not having a healthy, intimate life, you have to make shit happen. Because unfortunately, whomever you work for, they're not going to make life easier for you. They're not meant to. They don't care. So even if you're tired, whatever you do, just do your best to try to take care of yourself. And in turn, if you're taking care of yourself, you'll take better care of those who are around you, especially the folks who you are intimately involved with. For me, I have been incredibly super tired, tired as hell, but that has never meant that I will neglect my relationship or neglect the friends that matter a lot to me. If I can tell ahead of time that a day is really, really, really going to alter my schedule entirely, I let people know, but I make shit happen. I still go to the gym every single day. I don't make an excuse for that. I still eat, even if some days are better than others or worse than others, I still make it happen. So when I keep hearing people say that they're too tired to do X and Y, it's like, no, 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 no. You said that you were tired since I met you. Make stuff happen, all right? So if you have to go to bed earlier and get rid of distractions, even on weekends, go ahead and do it. It'll benefit you. But if you're constantly keeping up with bad habits and perpetuating your bad state physically, then that's when I say you need to take more responsibility. And then I get accused of attacking the so called victim. Now, excuse me while I drink some Le Bleu because my throat got fucking dry. Okay, let's see what people are saying. I should have turned that fan off. YouTube poop is a kind of edited video where you take footage and mess around with it to try to make it funny. I've got a couple on my channel. Oh, that type of thing. I don't honestly watch that with frequency, so I would not be able to name you a video like that I like. All that freedom in Western society has been doing wonders to its inhabitants, such as super gonorrhea. Do you think dependent, handicapped, immigrants, and illiterates and government workers should have the right to vote? How about this? I think that citizens of a nation have the right to vote in that nation. So, dependent folks definitely have a right to vote as long as you're a citizen. If you're handicapped and you're a citizen, you can definitely vote. If you're an immigrant, how about this? Does immigrant automatically mean that you are illegal in the country? Or is that the meaning of someone who's migrating? So if you're not a citizen of a nation, you should not be allowed to vote. Because it's like, Pick me for example. Let's say that I don't know anything about any other country's voting system, but just because I know a couple of British folks that are online right now, it's like saying, "Hey Zam, how do you feel about our political spectrum? Go ahead and vote. Why do you guys give a damn about how I vote when I don't even reside in your country? And the United Kingdom does not owe me anything. I have absolutely no business in the United Kingdom. So why would the United Kingdom need to validate my vote? Now, if it were someone who is educated on European politics or UK politics, you may feel a sense of entitlement to those politics, but if you are not a resident of that nation, if you're not a citizen of that nation, why would we need to take you seriously? So, anybody who is trying to vote in the United States, you need to be living here to be making decisions here. Because why would you decide for the stuff that's better, that you consider is better for this land, when you are not participating in it? That's not me being a hater. I think I have a point. So, so yeah, it's like I would not expect for other countries to take what I have to say seriously if I don't live over there when it comes to a government point of view. See what I mean? So, anyways, you guys let me know how you feel about that. Another question is, I know you've got a boyfriend, but can we be friends? This comes across fairly sleazy, and you can be guaranteed the girl will be questioning your intentions. I mean, honestly, to me, I assume that every person I meet is a friend. Like, if we have spent some kind of time together and we're close at work or something, we're friends. But if you bring up the note of the boyfriend, just because I have a boyfriend doesn't mean that I cannot have friends. But if you're saying that you know I have a boyfriend and you're bringing that up, and you have to be like, since you have a boyfriend, I just want to be your friend. Of course, I'm going to be suspicious of you, because I would think that if your intentions are clean, it's like you don't have to even bring him up. So, but anyways, I don't know. I've never been asked that honestly, but I think it's weird. The how old are you question is back. I don't know. What do you want to do? Every girl wants a guy who will be the man and lead with a decision. I mean, it's okay to not have the answer to something. Like, if you have plans and you want to spend time with me, but you don't know what to do, just say that. Just be like, hey, I want to spend time with you, but I just don't have any ideas. I don't have a plan. Like, what do you want to do? And I'm like, you can do anything. We can even stay at home and just do nothing. I don't mind. I don't care. We can stay home and just talk or do whatever. But I don't obsess over that little question. Let's see. I usually do not have an answer to that question. Handicapped here. I quite like that I get a vote. Hydration is good for your body. Do not excuse yourself, my opinion. I believe in fascism, so I don't swallow this democracy bullshit. Everyone has rights, blah, blah, blah. So, for me, I like to think of laws as something that exists to attempt to give order to society. And that is, let's pick the handicap point of view, for example. And after this, I'm gonna have to like wrap it up because I didn't realize it was getting kind of late for me. But I have had this discussion before, Ollie, I think it was with you, in which I said, try to imagine a world in which society decided that because you have a physical disadvantage, we are not going to try to protect you. So let's pretend that this is the wild. Let's pretend that there are no houses, you don't have a roof over your head. You're out in nature and you encounter a bear. And you are a human and you have a physical disadvantage. I know that the bear is an irrational creature. Do you think that the bear is going to look at you, puny ass human, and be like, you know what? You cannot run. You cannot stand up. You're out of shape. You're skinny. You cannot lift over 20 pounds with one arm. I'm going to wait until you train, you little tiny human, so that we can have a battle for survival. in an honorable way. No, that motherfucker is going to take you down because you have a disadvantage. So in society, if you have certain disadvantages, I hate to say this, but yes, life will be more complicated for you. And because you tend to be a small percentage of the population, we cannot all of a sudden set the bar lower to accommodate the very few of you who are having a difficult time. I'm sorry, like, I feel bad that you have your conditions and that life is unnecessarily difficult for you. But at the same time, life and society has been able to advance as far as it has because of competitiveness. So if we decided to keep bending the rules and set the bar lower and lower and lower and lower to give a chance to people who are clearly not competitive enough, I think that would hurt us ultimately. So if you are at a physical disadvantage, please do not try to compete to become a physically advantageous person when that's something that you're really not designed to do. You can you can challenge yourself, but do not be dependent upon that. You know? So if this were the wild without any kind of civilization, let's say that we as humans, we have a wild behavior. All of you folks who have a physical or mental disadvantage, you are going to be the first ones to be screwed. So I think that whatever little rules and whatever little rights that you do have, I don't want to say that they are incredibly satisfying, they resolve your life, they guarantee that you're going to be happy and taken care of. Of course not. But at the same time, as someone who is not disabled, I understand that you do not care about anything that I have to say, especially when I'm not going through that experience. I hear this a lot. I see it a lot online about how able bodied people are, for some reason, the most terrible people on the planet. It's like, look, you have your challenges. You cannot deny it. So, unless you can prove to me that you're better than me, given your state, fine, compete against me. But if I beat you and then you start whining that it is because I have an advantage, whether it be a physical and or mental one, I'm sorry, I did not choose to be messed up, or I did not have the accident that messed me up physically. So it is what it is. Life is just a big game of fate. So see what I mean? It's like, again, I'm a terrible person. I'm probably blaming the victim, but I'm just trying to think about it critically. I try to stay in shape. I try to stay healthy. I try to drive carefully so that I don't get in a wreck and kill myself or get hurt really bad. I'm trying to make decisions that are going to keep me in the best shape that I can to be competitive and be making ends meet and survive. So if you personally are at a disadvantage of that, then I guess you gotta put in the extra super work, whatever it is, to make stuff work for you. Again, I'm sorry that you are dealing with problems that I don't have, and therefore that gives me an advantage. But am I really a worse person than you as an able bodied person just because I don't have those challenges to deal with? So, do you guys see what I'm trying to get at there? So, I don't know if I ever officially did a stream like that, but it's something that's definitely been on my mind. But just so you know, I have my few thoughts about that. If I were a migrant, I would never vote since my ancestors never have contributed to build the host nation I've just invaded. I think the fact that you felt the need to comment on the boyfriend betrays some ulterior motive. Yes, surely the bear would F me up, like the idea of you challenging yield. Firstly, I can easily lift over 20 pounds with one hand. Secondly, if a bear attacks me, it thinking it's an easy meal, I'll make sure he works for it. And thirdly, this is why I don't live in the wild. Well, exactly. This is why society was built. This is why civilization was built. We created these barricades, we created this roof so that we don't get bit by bugs, so that we don't get like attacked by animals. The whole reason we created weapons and we have the right to bear arms was because apparently farmers could defend their crops and stuff from, like, was it foxes and stuff that would eat their crops, or like animals, farm animals or whatever. So the wild pretend that there are no laws that look at you and they're like, you know what? You're a person who has limitations. You're defenseless. Let's make sure that you get a certain extent of like fairness, some kind of protection. Me as a woman, I have certain protections under the law. So imagine if I didn't have that. It's like guys would be able to do with me as they please because I absolutely do not stand a chance against them. I am smaller, I am weaker, I am slower. So thank God for these little bit of laws and rules that we have. They give us a better chance at surviving. So, same thing, in my opinion, with handicapped folks. Thank God that you have a certain degree of rules and regulations and laws that protect you, even though they don't make your life easy necessarily because you're still living with this condition. At least you're given some kind of an aid, you know? So, that's why I try to bring up that part of me being a woman. I'm sick of it. It terrifies me. But what I try to do is do things to maybe make myself a more difficult of a prey. So, not necessarily that by me being in shape means that I'll be able to be fighting against one of y'all on a one on one. Never am I going to think that I can beat a guy like in the way that I am. I'll always feel that I'm at a disadvantage. So I am going to look for alternative ways to be at an advantage against you. See what I mean? So with handicapped folks, it's like you are at a disadvantage in multiple ways. Socially, financially, probably, unless you come from like a rich family. So considering those factors, what can I say? It's like I'm an able bodied person and I still have challenges. So you will have even more challenges. It's not crazy for me. And we still have done a good job about implementing you into society. But just because we haven't designed certain places to cater to you and make it comfortable for you doesn't mean that we don't care necessarily. It's just that how can we do that when the frequency of that is limited? And as a final example before I go, I saw that there were people complaining about Avengers Endgame because some cinemas were not showing it with captions for deaf people, or the movie runtime was like 3 hours long, and therefore some people who have bladder problems or something, they had to take many bathroom breaks, and therefore they're missing out on the movie theater experience. And they were saying, "Oh, maybe you should implement commercials into the movie." No, I don't want to see commercials in the movie. So maybe wait until the movie comes out in DVD or Blu-ray or whatever the fuck is out nowadays, digital versions of it, and watch it at home. But do not ruin the experience for the rest of us. You are a small percentage of people. Sure, we could create theaters to cater to you, but how often would those places make money? And not every city can afford to have a theater like that. See what I mean? So if I became a disabled person, that would not affect me because I don't give a shit about movies. But I understand that just because I don't give a shit about movies doesn't mean that everyone else should not give a shit about movies. It's just that that is not a value that I have. But see what I mean? Like, but anyways, you guys, I'm going to catch up with the comments and now I have to go. I'm sorry, but I'll come back to this. Challenging yourself is the greatest idea. I walk that philosophy every day. Fucking bear would give a hell of a meal, bruh. I would just put it out there that the idea that accessibility is good for everyone, whether you ask for it or not, is an example. The advent of dropout curbs for the blind also curtailed skateboarding accidents. Hi, Zam, looking good. I love challenging myself. I am an autodidact, self educated, and a polyglot. Nobody thought of that, but it was a positive effect. Alright, guys, well, it's been a pleasure, but I have to go now, so I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching, and I will make sure that I do not close out the